Good morning, students. We'll continue our discussion on simple harmonic oscillator, and we are in the process of solving the Schrodinger wave equation, which we have obtained for simple harmonic oscillator in the previous class. And today, we will try to accomplish most of the discussion with regard to harmonic oscillator. I think if I'm right, that we have obtained the differential equation, and we also discussed about asymptotic solution. What is asymptotic solution? Can anybody speak about what is asymptotic solution?
Sir, asymptotic solution is applicable only at larger values of displacement. For smaller values,
So asymptotic solution is a solution which actually applicable at larger displacement of the harmonic oscillator. And the function what you see here, that e to the power or e raised to minus z square by 2, and this particular function, as you can see, if z value is increasing, then accordingly the function e to the power minus z square by 2 value will be decreasing, right? So that means we have introduced a boundary condition with regard to simple harmonic oscillator, wherein whatever the solution that we are going to obtain out of the solution, that has to satisfy one boundary condition, which is nothing but as we approach, as we are actually moving away from the simple harmonic oscillator thing. I mean, especially if you are looking at larger displacement, then the harmonic oscillator, I mean, the wave function corresponding to simple harmonic oscillator should vanish. So that we have given like psi of z must tend to 0 as z value tend to 0. Please recall, z is nothing but alpha times x. X is nothing but the displacement. So z is, in other words, it is actually a displacement quantity, but for some reason that we have started using z value. And this z value, as it is actually approaching the infinity, then the wave function actually must tend to 0. So that is the boundary condition that we have introduced. Based on that, and also based on the physical intuition and also from the simple mathematical knowledge, we have introduced the asymptotic solution, a solution that exclusively valid at the larger displacement of the simple harmonic oscillator. Then ideally we need to have a solution. That solution must be applicable everywhere. We don't want a solution that only applicable at selective regions of the harmonic oscillator behavior. Therefore, in order to have a much broader solution which is applicable everywhere, the constant A which we have introduced is, if it is a constant, then that is what is going to happen. But if this constant is replaced with some kind of a mathematical function, then it is possible that we can have a complete solution. Okay. Now, in other words, psi of z is equal to h of z, which is actually a function. So the a we replaced asymptotic solution a times e to the power minus z square by 2, wherein a is introduced as a constant. That a, if you can replace with a polynomial or a mathematical function, then the now the total wave function is going to be the product of h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. So it is a combination of two functions, and we know precisely that this particular e to the power minus z square by 2 is applicable at larger displacement. Now this h of g, if it is a mathematical function and if it is adjusting such that, okay, if it is adjusting the function values and then the total product, when you take the total product, then it is going to be solution. Okay, so the h of z should actually adjust based on the value of z. It should adjust such that the total function, that is h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2, will actually satisfy everywhere. everywhere, and also it will be a function, it will be a complete solution of the harmonic oscillator. So that is the basic argument behind introducing h of z to the power h of z into our solution. Then now the total function based on this argument, it is going to be h of z e to the power minus z square by 2. If this is a function, then we actually should transform the previous expression, previous differential expression. You just recall that the previous expression is this d square psi of z by dz square plus lambda minus z square multiplied by psi of z is equal to 0. Now we are saying that the psi of z is nothing but it is h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. Therefore, what we should do is that simply we try to calculate the first order differential equation. We have to do the one-time differentiation, and also we have to do two-time differentiation of this function. Why? Because now we are assuming this is a function. This is the solution of the differential equation. If this is the solution of the differential equation, then it should satisfy the differential equation, and also we have to transform it into h of z. You can see here there is no h of z, only psi of z is there. Okay, therefore it is our duty now, this that differential equation has to be converted into a differential equation wherein this h of z is there, and then that differential equation is a function of h of z, and then if we are able to solve that particular differential equation for h of z, then we will get h of z. Then that particular h of g can be substituted in this total solution, which will be a complete solution of the simple harmonic oscillator. So that is the overall process that what we are going to do now from here after. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can stop me and then you can ask till now. So essentially what we are going to do, just to calculate the first derivative of this total function and also second derivative, and then substitute in the previous differential equation. That is what I'm going to do. I hope that you can follow this simple differentiation. It's not a very big deal. Psi of the first derivative of the psi of z is equal to h of z. I hope that you know what is the derivative of the product. So I just have calculated dh by dz e to the power minus z square by 2. So the first, I am taking the derivative of the first function multiplied by the second function, then the plus the derivative of the second function multiplied by the first function. That is what it is. Please note that here I didn't write down psi of z, and also I have just excluded writing h of z. But wherever I write h, it means it is a function of z. Similarly, wherever I write a simple psi, that means it is already a function of z. So that you please remember, in order to avoid writing again and again, it was just excluded, but it is there. So once you have this first derivative, then from the first derivative, one can easily evaluate what is second derivative. Okay, so that is going to be somewhat very lengthy expression, but these are not very complicated things. You can just work it out, take a piece of paper and then write it down. Anyway, I'm going to share all these things. You can try it out from alone, and then you try to compare your answer with the presentation answer. Okay, so finally what we will get, actually, after evaluating first derivative and second derivative, then you can actually substitute in the equation number 1 to obtain a particular differential equation, and this is what ultimately we get it. Okay, it is just a matter of evaluating the first derivative of the function, and similarly second derivative of the function, and then substitute. Why we are doing this? Why? The answer is very simple. So our differential equation is this. Okay, our differential equation is this. Sorry, basically here there is no first derivative, but If you want to calculate the second derivative, you can actually calculate first derivative first, and then if you can derivate one more time, then that will be second derivative. So you calculate this particular thing, and similarly here psi of z is nothing but h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. You can just substitute. Only here that you have to calculate the second derivative of the function. And then we substitute second derivative here and plus lambda minus z square multiplied by h of z to the multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. That's all we have to do it, and ultimately you will get a differential equation of this particular differential equation. What is this? D square h of z by dz square minus 2z dh by dz plus lambda minus 1 multiplied by h of z is equal to 0. So you can see here what is the difference between this particular differential equation and the previous equation. There is a slight difference. There you have only psi, but here this expression is transformed into a differential equation where h of z is there. That's the only difference. How do we solve? Sorry, if we can solve this particular second order differential equation for h of z, then we get what is h of z, and that h of z can be substituted into the total solution, that is psi of z is equal to h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. So that is what it is left over from here. Now, how do we solve this thing? Well, we solve this particular differential equation by a power series method. Okay, by a power series method. So when you don't know the solution of a somewhat complicated differential equation, that for any complicated differential equation, power series method is a very nice approach to obtain to obtain a general solution of the differential equation. Now, h of z, since I do not know what exactly it is, but definitely I know that it is going to be a function of, z. Okay, so when we don't know, then this is the way that we express h of z is equal to a0 plus a1 z plus a2 z square plus a3 z cube plus and so on. I wanted to write down a general expression, that is a general term, that is aj multiplied by z to the power j. What is this? This is a general term. So as you can see here from the initial terms, that this a2, here there is a 2, and the power of z is also 2. So therefore I am just introducing a small general term, that is az z to the power z. So here if it is z, then z power also it has to be j. That's all it is. Now this, we know that we have this differential equation, right? Okay, this is the differential equation, and now h of z, we are saying that this is it is expressed in terms of a infinite power series. H of z is expressed in terms of a infinite power series. Now what we can do here, what are the terms? Here the terms are d square h by dz square minus 2z dh of z by dz plus lambda minus 1 multiplied by h of z plus which is equal to 0. So you can evaluate this. Since now h of z is expressed as an infinite power series, you can evaluate what is first derivative and substitute here and multiply with this. And similarly, you can evaluate what is second derivative and substitute here. Similarly, you can substitute what is h of z. H of z is nothing but a0 plus a0 z plus a2 z square plus and so on. So you can just lambda, you take this power series, multiply with lambda minus 1, and then keep, which is equal to 0. Then if you are able to solve that particular thing, then you will be able to get the H of C. So that is what we are going to do this. So in the power series method, first we will evaluate the first derivative. So the first derivative of this infinite power series is nothing but the here the derivative of the constant is 0, and a1z, the derivative of this term is going to be a1, just a1. What about this? Here actually you have a constant 2, a2. You can keep it as such. Derivative of z square, that is nothing but 2. Okay, 2 times a2 multiplied by z. Okay, and plus 3a3 z square, plus and so on. As you can see here that a general term can be written from this. The general term is like, this is going to be a general term. Z plus 1, here you can just see here. Okay, here suppose if the square of the power of the z and this coefficient, there is a difference. Okay, so there is one difference is there between the power of z and also this constant. That is what it is expressed here. You can just write down that j plus 1, this is basically j plus 1, aj plus 1, z to the power j. Okay, so it is just a very simple concept. You can just write down j plus 1, aj plus 1, z power j. That is the general term. And it's the previous term. If you want, you can write down. So if to get what previous term is nothing but just one. If you want a previous term, you just substitute j is equal to j minus 1. So if you can substitute j is equal to j minus 1 in this z power j term, then you will get the j minus 1 term. Then that is nothing but wherever j is there, you can just substitute j minus 1. So j minus 1 plus 1, which is going to be j alone, and then aj. You can remember here that here also it is j plus 1. But j plus 1, if you replace with j minus 1, then minus 1 plus 1 cancel out. So it is going to be aj and z to the power j minus 1. Okay, so that is the previous term of this one. Why we are doing all those things, it will be clear to you as we proceed further. But for the time being, we just accept, what I am doing. Now, having calculated the first derivative of the infinite power series, the next thing is that you can just calculate the second derivative of that one. So we have already first derivative, okay, and the second derivative can be evaluated. And then here it is evaluated, and also some of the common terms are also written here. Okay, apart from writing this, apart from just writing, then the common terms also written here. Okay, so here this constant, so therefore it will be 0. Second derivative will be 0, and then 2a2. Here z is there, so derivative of this one is going to be just 1. So it is just a constant 2a and a2. What about this one? Here you can write down z square. Okay, z square derivative is a 2z. So that 2 can be written here. Then 2 multiplied by 3, it is 6, and a3. Okay, and then multiplied by z. So this actually you can expand writing this particular thing, and you can write down some of the common terms. Especially we are interested in this particular thing, a common term. If you want a common term, what is to be written, you can see here. Here it is this is the second term, right? So this is the second term. What is happened? This is actually 3 multiplied by 2. 6 is nothing but 3 multiplied by 2. Therefore you can from this notation, you can write down j plus 1 multiplied by j plus 2, aj plus 2, z to the power j. That is what it is, the general term, and the previous terms also can be written from this expression. Okay, previous terms. If you want one term before this common term, that is z power j term, then you can write it like substitute j minus 1. So if you substitute j minus 1, then this particular thing is going to be j, and this is going to be j plus 1, and this is going to be j plus 1, and this is going to be uh, 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 j minus 1. That is what it is. Okay, so from here you can write down this, and by one term before this you can write down. If you want, you can write all those terms. It's not very big deal. Simply just write down. Now you realize the fact that in the differential equation it has got minus 2g dh of z. Just go back and see, just we have introduced what is the differential equation, that is minus 2g h of g. So we have already the first derivative of the infinite power series, right? So you can just multiply that with the this one, then what you get is basically minus 2, and then dh of z by dz is nothing but simply you can plug in here. Okay, now what it was done here, that there is a 2z, that the z you can take it inside this one. Okay, you can take it inside. Okay, so that is minus 2 multiplied by a1. So basically this has to be multiplied with the minus 2z. So the z you can take it inside. So minus 2 you write down outside, and a1 z plus a2 2a2 z square, because already there is a z is there, so it is going to be z square, and here there is a 3, a3 is there, but z square is there, z square becomes z cubed, so and so on you can write down. Okay, now what I can write down from this, you can see here that I wanted a general term. That general term is nothing but z to the power j. Z to the power j term, I just wanted to have it. That is the reason why actually I have evaluated one term before the actual general term in the simple first differentiation of the power series. Okay, here you can just know when it, since it is multiplied with z, then it becomes j, right? So these are constant. J multiplied by aj are the constant, and we have a one z. That z, when it is multiplying with the e to the z to the power minus 1, it is going to be z to the power j. So this common term is going to, you can write down if you want. I don't want that, therefore I did not write it, but you can always write down. So it is going to be j plus 1, aj plus 1, z to the power j plus 1. That is what it is going to be. Okay, now there is another term in the differential equation which I have showed in the previous slide. So lambda minus 1 multiplied by h of z. Okay, so here you need to multiply this h, the infinite power series, with this lambda minus 1, which is a constant. So just you have to multiply it. Okay, so what you can see here is this. Okay, so on the left hand side of the differential equation, what you have got is that d square h of z by dz square minus 2z, that is our actually, these are the three things. This is first term in the differential equation on the left hand side, this is the second term, right, and this is the third term. So the three term, this is actually first term, and this is the second term in the differential equation, and this is the third term in the differential equation, which is equal to actually 0. That is what it is. Now what you can do is just take the summation of all the left hand terms. Okay, take the summation of all these terms, and then which is equal to 0. So you just keep it equal to 0. So that is what your ultimate differential equation. So what it says is that ultimately it is a power series, right? So you can see here, what is this? The first term, you have got infinite number of terms, isn't it? Infinite number of terms are there in this particular first term in the differential equation. Similarly, the second one, it has also got infinite terms in this power series. Similarly, what about the third term? Third term also you have got infinite number of terms in the power series. Okay, so what it says is that, okay, there is an infinite power series, infinite terms are there in the power series, and the summation of all the terms in the infinite power series, of course, when you take the summation, that will be a one unified power series, and that power series is going to be, summation of the power series is going to be 0. That is what it says. Okay. So when you take the summation of all these power series, it is going to be one unified power series, and the terms, the summation of all the terms in that unified power series, which is equal to 0. That is what it is. So based on that, I'm claiming that this only happens that the, you have infinite number of terms, and then their summation is becoming 0. Okay, just try to make a logic from this. So you have infinite number of terms in the power series, and their summation is going to be 0. So this only happens if the coefficient of all the terms are becoming 0. Okay, otherwise this is not possible. Just imagine that you have here one constant, and all these coefficients have to be 0. Okay, similarly, if you take z, the coefficient of z in all the power series, okay, here there is a coefficient for z, and for here also one term, and here also one term is there. So all these things, actually, when you take the summation, they have to be 0. Only then that equality, that is the differential, the summation of the three differential terms, then that will be equal to 0. Otherwise, that cannot satisfy the equality notation. So therefore, what we do, it is a simple logic that the coefficients in the infinite power series, the coefficients in the infinite power series have to be 0. Only then that particular equality actually satisfies. Otherwise, it cannot be acceptable. Now, what we can do, that we can actually pool all the constant values which are having a common z. Okay, or maybe you can write it, all the constant, you can write it like this, or at one place. Similarly, z to the power 1 terms, the coefficients of z to the power 1 can be pooled to one place, and z to the power z square terms can be written one common place, right? So that type of rearrangement one can do it. For example, I'll just explain very briefly here. So here in this is the first term. In the first term, this is a constant, right? So 2a2 is a constant. Do you see any other a constant in the power series other than 2a2? There is no other term which is having a constant other than this 2a2. So that has to be written here. So it is written here. And then in this term, what you get is basically, is it possible to get a constant other than z? Here already the first term actually begins with 2a1z. The next one 2a2z. Therefore, here there is no chance that you will obtain a constant. And coming to here, that you can see lambda minus 1 multiplied by this infinite power series of h of z, right? Here, so lambda minus 1 multiplied by a naught is a constant which doesn't carries any z. Okay, therefore we can write it all these. So what I have done, so from here there is a constant and a constant term, and here also one constant term. You just take the summation. That's all. And what about the second term? So the second term is nothing but which will have z to the power 1. I'm going to compare or combine all the coefficients in the power series which contains z to the power 1. Okay, so that can be done in this manner. So you can see here that here there is a 3 multiplied by 2 a3z. Okay, and here minus 2a1. Okay, this is actually minus 2a1 will come, coefficient will come. And what about here, lambda minus 1 multiplied by a1 will come here. So all together I have combined here. So 3 multiplied by 2a3 minus 2 of, there is a 2 over here, I think that has to be taken into consideration. So that has to be written here, 2a1 plus lambda minus 1 multiplied by a1 to the power z to the power 1. Okay, and the second term, third z square term, the coefficient of the z square, okay, coefficient of the z cube, so and so on. A general term also can be written. Okay, the general term coefficient is going to be nothing but z from general term. You can see here, this is the first term, that is j plus 1 into j minus j plus 1 into j plus 2 multiplied by aj plus 2 z to the power j. That is what it is from this. And then here the common term is this j into aj z to the power j. And from here that lambda minus 1 multiplied by aj. So all these things you can write it here. And then the series actually continues. The value of j is actually starting from 0 to infinity. You can write down. So whatever the term that you are interested, it can be written. But we are not interested in everything, but only a particular. I have only written, only a couple of things which are really required to make the concept clear to you. And all these. This is basically, if you look at very clearly. So this is an infinite power series. That is what you should realize. This is an infinite unified power series, which contains a constant. So in this particular case, this is a constant, and there is a constant for z to the power 1, and similarly z square coefficient, z cube coefficient, and nth term coefficient, and so on and so on. And this power series actually runs to infinity. So what I have taken here is the common term, that is the z to the power j. Okay, so this coefficient must be equal to 0 in order to satisfy that equality. So the unified power series, in the unified power series, the individual coefficient must be equal to 0. Only then that particular equality will be satisfied. Therefore, based on that argument, we can write down this j plus 1 into j plus 2 multiplied by aj plus 2 minus 2j aj plus j minus 1 multiplied by aj, right, which is equal to 0, which is equal to 0. Now what I can do, I just try to rearrange the expressions. I wanted an expression for aj plus 2. Okay, so aj plus 2 I will keep it here, and then rest of the other term, that is j plus 1 into j plus 2, I will just move out these things the other direction. This is what I will do. So if I do that, already there is one, these here. Before that, you can also do one more thing here. You notice here both of these two terms has aj. So aj is a common. Therefore, 2j minus, so you can just take the common factor outside, 2j minus lambda plus 1 multiplied by aj. So I have written in the numerator that becomes 2j minus lambda plus 1 divided multiplied by aj. Okay, and this one, as you are moving the other side, it goes to the denominator part. So essentially you are going to get some relation. What is the relation? The relation is aj plus 2 is equal to 2j minus lambda plus 1 by j plus 1 into j plus 2 multiplied by aj. And you can note down this particular expression. What is this expression actually? This expression to me very interesting. Why? Because that if I know what is aj plus, sorry, if I know what is aj, then it is possible for me to calculate what is aj plus 2. Okay, right? So aj plus 2 is expressed in terms of aj. Okay, if you know what is aj, then the coefficient of aj plus 2 can be calculated, right? So this is nothing but aj plus 2 is nothing but a common a term or a common expression which is really helpful to evaluate the coefficient in the infinite power series. The coefficient in the infinite power series can be calculated, evaluated by using this very much useful expression. What we call it as a recursion relation. This particular thing, what is known as a recursion relation. Why it is said to be recursion relation is this reason, because if you are, this is a recursion relation between aj plus 2 and aj. If I know aj, what is aj precisely, then it is possible to evaluate what is aj plus 2. Okay, for example, let me elaborate with an example. Let's say if j is equal to 0. If j is equal to 0, then what is a2 can be calculated, isn't it? You can just see that if j is equal to 0, just substitute, it is 2 minus, sorry, this is 1 minus lambda, right? Divided by j is equal to 0 means that 2 multiply 2, okay, and a0. So 1 minus lambda by 2 is 0. And if j is equal to 1, then 3 minus lambda by 6 multiplied by a1. And if j is equal to 2, and 5 minus lambda by 6 multiplied by a2. And then what I'm claiming is that suppose if I know a2, then a4 can be calculated. Similarly, if I know a1, a3 can be calculated. So this is something that very interesting for us to evaluate the coefficients of the z to the power j terms, depending upon your choice. Okay, and further I will also claim that suppose if I know from this expression, what is a0, for example, okay, what is a0, if you know, then it is possible that all the even terms can be evaluated, isn't it? If I know what is exactly a0, then all the even terms can be calculated. So even terms means that a2, aj, if I know, then a2 can be calculated. Okay, and similarly, if I know a2, a4 can be calculated, and if I know a4, then a6 can be calculated. So this actually continues. Similarly, if I know what is a1, then a3 can be calculated from the recursion relation. Okay, why? Because the recursion relation already, there is no restriction on j. J can be any number, so which start from basically 0 to infinity. So if I know a1, then I can calculate what is a3. If I know a3, a5 can be calculated from the recursion relation. So and so on, this discussion actually continues. Okay, now in the solutions, okay, in the solutions of the harmonic oscillator, so there are infinite number of terms are there basically, so which are basically can be calculated based on the two things. Can be classified into two categories. One is actually symmetric and the other one is anti-symmetric. Okay, and if you know basically what is a1, then you can calculate all the odd terms, and if you know what is a0, then you can calculate all the even terms. So there are two different set of solutions that we can obtain. Okay, odd solution and even solution, which is actually not very surprising for me. You remember that the potential energy diagram of the simple harmonic oscillator, is it a symmetric function or anti-symmetric function? The potential the potential expression means nothing but half times kx square potential energy, you remember, and that has got this type of shape. Is it a symmetric or anti-symmetric? X square, k is a constant basically, x square is a symmetric function, right? That is a simple thing. So since it is a symmetric function, then we learned we derived one expression also previously. If the potential of the system is a symmetric one, then it is possible for us to categorize the wave functions into either symmetric or anti-symmetric uh, functions, right? So that is exactly happened here also. So you can have in a solution the solutions of simple harmonic oscillator. You will have all the even terms and then odd terms, everything will be there, but all those things put together, you can have two different categories, that is symmetric function and the anti-symmetric function, depending upon the situation. So when do you get the symmetric functions, sorry, even function or the symmetric function? That is possible when a naught is equal to 0 and a1 has to be 0. When a1 is equal to 0, so all the odd terms will vanish. Okay, and a naught, if it is not equal to 0, so all the even term actually will exist. Since a naught is not equal to 0, all the even terms, so a2 can be calculated. Since if you know a2, a4 can be calculated. If you know a4, a6 can be calculated, and so on. Basically, all those things are actually symmetric function or even functions. Similarly, there is another condition that we can come across, that is the a0 can be 0. Okay, if a0 can be 0 while a1 is not equal to 0, that means basically all the odd terms can be evaluated. If a1 not equal to 0 and a0 is equal to 0, then all the even terms basically vanishes, and then we will have only odd solutions. Okay, so we can actually from here onwards we can take either condition and we can proceed, but for the sake of simplicity, we will proceed with this particular condition. Okay, one condition is that the first condition is that the even solutions. So even solutions, when do we obtain? We obtain even solution when a naught is equal to 0. Okay, while a1 is equal to 0. So a1 is equal to 0 means all the odd terms will become 0. Okay, if all the odd terms become 0, then what will happen to our infinite power series? So our infinite power series, then all the odd terms will vanish. All the odd terms will vanish. So it will contain only even terms. So even terms mean that a naught plus a2 z square plus a4 z to the power 4 plus az z to the power j and so on. That basically power series continues. Okay, now what I can do, I can actually calculate what is aj plus 2 from this expression. Okay, I can actually calculate what is aj plus 2 at larger displacement. If it is a larger displacement, suppose if you are thinking of asymptotic region, right, then the recursion relation actually becomes aj plus 2 is approximately 2 by j times aj. Okay, from this expression. From this expression, you can just substitute. Here we already assumed that a1 is equal to 0. Okay, and a naught is not equal to 0. If that is the case, then you can actually calculate. Okay, and since we are thinking of larger displacement, and the lambda actually can be omitted, and this one also can be omitted, so you will have a j, and this 1 and 2 can be this thing. Then basically this aj plus 2, it becomes 2 by j aj. Okay, and the recursion relation under this particular condition, what is the condition? The condition is a not equal to 0 while a1 is equal to 0. The recursion relation actually will take this type of expression, that is 2 by j aj, 2 by j multiplied by aj. Okay, is there any doubt here? So this actually we can obtain from this relation, that is recursion relation. The recursion relation is nothing but aj plus 2 is equal to 2j minus lambda plus 1 by j plus 1 multiplied by j plus 2 multiplied by aj. So I'm saying that at larger displacement or in the asymptotic region, for example, for the sake, Okay, uh, the larger powers of, okay, the larger higher terms. Higher terms mean basically uh, z to the power j. So if at a larger displacement, higher values of z, higher powers of z to the higher powers of z are actually prominent. Okay, therefore under that condition the recursion relation, actually you can omit lambda, you can also omit 1, and here that 1 and 2 can be you can just omit it, because we are looking at larger values, larger at a larger displacement. Therefore it is going to be approximately this relation. Now the claim having obtained this particular approximate solution for aj plus 2, which is equal to 2 by j aj, then I will introduce another one interesting thing. This is a recursion relation between aj plus 2 and aj. Okay, and this particular thing, I'm going to claim that this is going to be exactly similar to that of e to the power z square. Why I am introducing these things finds somewhat difficult for you, but this is something that we know. This e to the power z square, which is a mathematical function, this actually exactly behave like the recursion relation what we have. What is the recursion relation? That is aj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j aj. That is the recursion relation. So this mathematical function, my claim is that this mathematical function will exactly behave like this recursion relation. Okay, now I can prove that. Okay, I can prove that, or we can prove that particular thing, and to convince you, let me do that. So e to the power x can be written as 1 plus, okay, 1 plus, how do we write it? 1 plus x to the power 1 by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 3 factorial plus and so on, right? The same manner that here I don't have x, but I have instead of x I have z square. That's the only thing. Therefore, the exponential function e to the power z square can be written as 1 plus z square by 1 factorial plus z square to the power square by 2 factorial and so on. You can write all the terms over there. Then having obtained this, having expressed this particular exponential function, and then what we wanted is to have a general term. What is general term? The general term is actually going to be is this z to the power 2j. And just to recall that the general term is nothing but z square to the power j by j factorial, right? J factorial. From this, I can write down which is nothing but z to the power 2j by j factorial, and then it's a previous term if you want, basically, z to the power j term, that is basically a common term. The coefficient of common term is nothing but j uh, j by 2 factorial. That is what it is, because you can see here that here there is 2, but here there is a 2j, but in the denominator you have j. So the difference is basically this is half of that one, right? So if you want the previous term, I mean previous term in the sense that the coefficient, I wanted to have basically the coefficient of a general term. And what I have obtained here is basically a double of that one, half of that one. It is not actually the general term. So I wanted a coefficient of the general term. The general term is nothing but the z to the power j. If I want the coefficient of z to the power j, I think what you have to do here in the general term, sorry, in this particular term, that you substitute j by 2. Then you will obtain this one, right? So the bj, let us consider that bj, let us introduce bj is the coefficient of z to the power j, and its general form is given by bj is equal to bj is equal to 1 over j by 2 factorial. bj is equal to 1 over j by 2 factorial. And then you can just write down, from this you can actually write down what is bj plus 2. Okay, now we know what is bj. bj is nothing but 1 over j by 2 factorial. And if I wanted from this, if I wanted to evaluate what is bj plus 2, then you substitute just j plus 2 everywhere wherever you see j. When you do that, it is going to be 1 over j plus 2 by 2 factorial, right? Now, so I know that I know what is bj plus 2, and I also know what is bj. So I can take the ratio. I can take the ratio. Okay. Sorry. But before that, let us. But before that, let us consider. Let us simplify this. It is basically j by 2 plus 1 factorial. Okay. As we are actually dealing with the larger powers of z, then 1 can be neglected. Okay, that we will do later. But then you can take the ratio, that is bj plus 2 by bj. So this is bj plus 2, right? And this is bj. So their ratio you can just evaluate. Then what you obtain is basically j by 2 factorial by j plus 2 plus 1 factorial. Then when you simplify this, you are going to get basically bj plus 2 by bj is equal to 1 over j plus 1, j by 2 plus 1, which is nothing but the 1 actually, the since we are dealing with a larger power, that 1 can be neglected. Essentially what we get is this. Okay, bj plus 2 by bj is equal to 1 over j by 2, that is nothing but bj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j bj. Okay, 2 by j. So this it is in the denominator to denominator, so therefore this goes back to the top numerator. Then 2 by j, and this bj you can move to the other side. So we will have a recursion relation now. So bj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j bj. So what is this recursion relation? This is nothing but a recursion relation. So since this recursion relation is exactly, what is this recursion relation? This recursion relation is useful to obtain the the coefficient in this infinite power series of this exponential function. Are you getting this? So this recursion relation, that is bj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j bj, is a recursion relation useful to evaluate any coefficient in this infinite power series. Okay, exponential infinite power series, right? So since this function recursion relation is exactly matching with the previous one, that is what this previous one, okay, which contains, actually we are talking about even solutions of the h of z, right? h of z is initially introduced as a infinite power series wherein it will have all the terms, but then we understood that the solutions can be classified into symmetric and antisymmetric. Based on that, we can neglect the odd terms, and then only even terms are left over. Now, if you simplify this, and then if you try to evaluate uh, what is the coefficient of a general term at a larger displacement, then it is going to be aj plus 2 is equal to z by 2 by j aj. Okay, so this is a recursion relation useful to calculate the coefficients, right? So this recursion relation is exactly matching with the other recursion relation of the exponential function what we have here, right? So my claim is that the infinite power series, what is that infinite power series? That is h of z, which contains only even terms, that is a0 plus a2 z square plus a4 z to the power 4. So this is an infinite power series, and we are looking at a situation wherein a larger displacement. At larger displacement, the z to the power j terms are very large. Okay, that means j is very large. Okay, at larger displacement, z is large. If z is large, means basically z to the power j, the j value will be higher. So at that particular situation, now the function exactly is going to behave like e to the power z square. Are you getting this logic? This is very, very important logic, and if you miss this logic, then you don't get, you don't follow further. You can stop me, and then anybody, you can raise this question or this logic.
Sir, can you explain once more?
So in the previous case, I hope that everybody followed up to here, that psi of g is a function of h of g multiplied by e to the power z square by 2. Now our potential energy is symmetric, then it is possible the solution can be classified into symmetric and anti-symmetric functions. Now there are two situations are possible, and depending on those two possibilities, that we can have either symmetric solutions or anti-symmetric solutions. Now let us ignore that let us consider only the even solutions. For even solution, the condition has to be a0 should not be 0, but a1 has to be 0. So if a1 is 0, all the odd terms will be 0, right? All the odd terms coefficient will be 0. Therefore, every odd terms basically vanishes. Only the even terms will left over. Now, we are thinking of a situation where z is very large. If z is very large, means large powers of power series are very important. Okay, if z is large, then large powers of z. Okay, that means the higher values for j are actually considered. We have to consider the higher values for j. Okay, if you are considering such a situation, then what will happen to the recursion relation? The recursion relation now, it is going to modify under that particular condition as aj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j aj. Do you follow this? And this I have obtained from the recursion relation. Okay, this is our original recursion relation. Since I am considering large values for z, then I have to neglect lambda. I can neglect lambda, and I can also neglect 1 in the numerator part. And the denominator part, the 1 and also 2, both can basically neglected. Then it is going to be j square. 2j by j square. Okay, 2j by j square, which is nothing but j by, 2 by j multiplied by aj. That is what it is. Do you follow this? Then,
Yes, sir.
then having followed this, then next thing is, my claim is, I'm claiming something. I have a mathematical function. That function is nothing but e to the power j square. That function is nothing but e to the power of z square. E to the power z square can be expressed in an infinite power series, like e to the power x, e to the power z square can be written as an infinite power series, and then you can actually evaluate a general expression, that is a recursion relation, to obtain a coefficient of any term in the power series. And if you look at those things, and if you do the exercise, you will get a recursion relation to obtain a general relation for the coefficient of any coefficient in the infinite power series of exponential function, that is e to the power z square. Now that is exactly behaving like the previous recursion relation. Previous recursion relation is just 2 by j, aj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j, aj. Now this recursion relation, the infinite power series e to the power z square recursion relation, also the same form. Since both are having same form, since are having the same thing, then my claim is, then my next claim is, the solution I can replace with e to the power z square. Isn't it? Are you following? At larger displacement, especially at the larger displacement, the power series actually behave like e to the power z square. Why I'm saying this? Because the two recursion relations are equal to each other, almost identically same. Therefore, I can claim that the power series h of z exactly behave like what? Exactly behave like e to the power z square. Do you follow now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if that is the situation, if you accept this, the my next argument, I will go back and see. My argument is that psi of z is equal to our total solution. Psi of z is equal to h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. Is that right? Now, h of z, we obtained that it is behaving like e to the power z square. Okay, so I can just replace h of z. Instead of writing h of z, then I can write down e to the power z square. If it is e to the power z square, you can just replace h of z with e to the power z square, and of course there is a multiplied by, there is another term that is e to the power minus z square by 2. So the result is, net result is e to the power minus z square by 2. E to the power minus, sorry, e to the power z square by 2. Do you get this point? Now, this function, is it acceptable? This function, is it acceptable? What we are,
No,
why?
because psi of c will become infinity.
Correct.
Mm.
So you can see here, this is exponentially a positive function. It is not a decay function. If z is large, at larger displacement, g is large, and the function also will increase. If this is the total function, the function also will increase to an infinite value, and in fact it reaches infinity also. But originally what we have started with is this: the any solution of simple harmonic oscillator, we have made a generalization, like when you are approaching, when x is approaching infinity, plus or minus infinity, the function should vanish. Okay, should vanish. That is the boundary condition that we have done it. But now we have done some exercise, and then we found that the solution is going to be e to the power z square by 2, which is actually not at all acceptable, because the function value keep increasing, it will not vanish. Actually, the nature of the function is a positive exponentially, exponential growth function, not an exponential decay function. If it is decay function, probably we can accept, but it is exponential growth function. So that means as you are approaching a larger displacement, the function will not vanish. Instead, basically, it is actually still keep on growing into an infinite value. So this is, since this is a this is a contradiction to the boundary condition. What is next? What is next is that the power series actually should not run to infinite value. Okay, when this happens, you remember I have very clearly mentioned that, okay, at larger displacements, larger powers of z powers are basically larger z to the power j, that particular thing will be having a considerable value. Okay. Therefore, we can actually conclude. Therefore, we can actually conclude that the power series should not run to infinite value. If it is running like this, then this is what we will get. What we get? We get e to the power z square by 2 function. Had it been the case that if it is stopping at a finite value, then we may get acceptable condition, acceptable solutions. Okay, so this actually is a problem if the power series is going to infinity. Suppose if the power series is basically terminated at a finite value of z to the power j, then we will get acceptable solutions. Okay, so the total picture what I have portrayed or what I have discussed just now is just to make you understand that what is happening. Okay, the solution in the previous case, if you go back, you see that it has got even and odd terms, but then later we realized that the even odd terms can be neglected, and the power series is having the solution h of g will have this type of things. Okay, all even terms. Whether it is even terms or odd terms, it doesn't matter. Both will have same argument. Argument remain the same, and the power series actually run to infinite value. If the power series is running to infinity value, I mean, how many terms are there in the h of g? You have a naught plus a to z square plus a for z to the power 4 and so on and so on. You can write n terms and then it will basically run to a larger value. Now what I am saying is that if it is running to a larger value, infinity, then the problem comes in. The problem is that we will not get acceptable solution. Just to say this, we will not get acceptable solution. I have given example with a clear-cut example that we can actually prove the recursion relation of aj plus 2 at a larger displacement, larger powers of z are important. And if you try to calculate the coefficient of such a larger displacement term, then it would take actually aj plus 2 is equal to 2 by j aj. Okay. And this recursion relation exactly behave like another mathematical function, that is e to the power z square by 2. Okay. You may ask me where from you got this. Okay. So just based on a mathematical knowledge, somebody has found that this particular recursion relation, I mean, e to the power z square by 2, you can express in terms of an infinite power series, and then you can get a general expression for calculating the recursion relation, and that particular recursion relation will be exactly same as this particular recursion relation. Based on that, we can conclude that the infinite power series, this one, okay, at larger displacement, the h of g exactly behave like a e to the power z square. Okay, and if it is behaving like e to the power z square, then we will not get acceptable solution, because ultimately h of g is multiplied with e to the power minus z square by 2, and the product is going to be essentially a exponential growth function. Okay, so the conclusion from all this discussion is this, that the power series should not run to an infinite value. Rather, it should basically terminate to a finite power of z to the power j. Okay, rather it should terminate at a finite power of j. How do we terminate the function? Well, we will do that based on the constant lambda in this fashion. Just recall what is lambda. Lambda, if you just go back and see what exactly it is, in the first class I have introduced, or we have introduced as a constant, that is nothing but a 2e by h mu is the value of lambda. Okay, and it is a constant value. That is what it is introduced. Other than that, we didn't discuss anything much about lambda. Now, now, if it is some arbitrary value, then the power series basically continues. Okay, so based on lambda value, one can basically uh, terminate the power series. How to terminate it? For example, you can see that here, uh, if lambda is exactly 2j plus 1, if lambda is exactly 2j plus 1, then what happens is that you have already 2j plus 1 and there is a minus lambda. And if this lambda is also 2j plus 1, then what happens? Okay, then what happens? Basically, the power series terminates there itself. It doesn't go. Okay, for example, you can just calculate. uh, you can just calculate, if, suppose if lambda is 13. If lambda is 13, 2j plus 1 is equal to 13, right? Basically, if lambda and 2j plus 1 both are same, then it is possible to terminate. How? Yes, it is possible. If lambda is 13, 2j plus 1 is equal to 13. That means j is equal to 6. If j is equal to 6, so this recursion relation, how it behaves? J is equal to 6 means basically A8. This is A8 is equal to how much? J is equal to 8. 8 means, sorry, J is equal to 6, sorry. J is equal to 6 means this is A8 is equal to, this is 0. Okay, this is 0. Why? Because already we mentioned that j is equal to 6. If j is equal to 6, this is 13 minus 13, that is 0. So 13 minus 13, it is 0. So anything divided by 0 is 0. So essentially A8 is 0. If A8 is 0, then what about A10? A10 is also 0. If A10 is 0, A12, it is also 0. So all the terms, all the higher terms of A8, other than up to A8, you will have finite value, but then other coefficient basically they terminate. They vanish. As a result, we are basically successfully terminating the power series. Okay, so that is the conclusion, and then by terminating or by fixing the value instead of lambda. Lambda is a constant, and we said that it is a constant. Now I'm saying this constant, yes, it is a constant, but it cannot take the value what it likes, but rather if it is having some values, okay, some values, okay, some specific values, then it is possible the power series in the h of z is expressed in terms of an infinite power series, which will actually terminate, at a finite value of z power j. Okay. Now, in that particular situation, we will get acceptable solution. Otherwise, we will run into a problem wherein at larger displacement, larger powers of z are important, and those coefficients actually, mathematical expression will behave like exponential growth function, wherein the function will not vanish. Instead, it will basically grow continuously. So that is the argument. Did you follow? Do you follow this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now lambda value, based on lambda value, we can terminate the power series. That is, uh, lambda is equal to j plus 1, but lambda original value 2e plus 2e by h nu, which is equal to 2j plus 1, and then e is equal to half times 2j plus 1 h nu, and then from this we can actually obtain a relation e is equal to j plus 1 half times h nu. E is equal to j plus half h nu, and uh, the value of the, just a notation that j can be replaced with n, because we have started using n as a quantum number. Then En is equal to n plus half h nu, where n can actually take values from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. just a replacement j with the n. You should not be confused, but it essentially takes values from 0 to infinity, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, infinity. And just a change, don't confuse with this. And lambda is actually is the key point to terminate the power series. Okay, and now if you just go back and see the differential equation what we have obtained previously, that is d square h of z by dz square minus 2g dh of z by dg plus lambda minus 1 multiplied by h of z. That is the original expression which we'd like to solve for h of z. But now I'm saying that what is lambda I know. Now I have come across what is lambda. Lambda is nothing but 2n plus 1, isn't it? Lambda is nothing but 2n plus 1. Previously, we thought like it can take a constant mean it can be anything. But now it is a constant and then it is an arbitrary value. But now, if you want to get the acceptable solution, it cannot be an arbitrary value, but instead it has to be a specific value. Okay, so we precisely got what is lambda. Therefore, that lambda value has to be substituted in the expression. And if you can substitute in what is lambda, that is 2n plus 1, then the differential equation will transform to another differential equation, that is d square h of z by dz square minus 2g dh of z by dz plus 2nh. 2nh. Why? Because here lambda is nothing but 2n plus 1 and there is already minus 1. 1 cancel out, then you get basically 2nh, right, which is equal to 0. Okay, so the story is not over and story still continues. What is story? The story is that we are very much interested to find what is h of z. If you know h of z, and we can replace that h of z in the expression, that is the total wave function, which is a product of h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square by 2. Okay, but what we have done so far today is we just try to we are trying to have some acceptable solutions for h of z. In the process, we come across a quantum number, that is n, whose values can vary from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, and this particular, now if you are able to solve what is this particular h of z from this differential equation, then that particular thing we can replace to obtain the total solution. Well, we are not done yet. This differential equation is very famous in mathematics. This is called Hermite differential equation. This is called Hermite differential equation. This is the general form of the Hermite differential equation, and whose solutions are called as a Hermite polynomials. The psi of z, which is a product of h of z multiplied by e to the power minus z square. Only h of z is not known. Okay, so to get a general expression for h of z, so this particular expression, that is d square h of z by dz square minus 2z dh by dz plus 2nh of z is equal to 0. This differential equation has to be solved for h of z. Okay, once you know that expression, you can just plug into the total wave function, then we are done with that. Okay, so this discussion will continue in the evening class.